And according to StreamYard, we are live. Hey, welcome everyone to IoT Happy Hour with Balena, episode number 63, which, as usual, I can hardly believe that we've done 62 of these in the past already. And as usual, you know, myself, David, developer advocate at Balena. You know, Mark, which I actually pointed to correctly on the first try today, developer advocate at Balena. And we have two guests with us today who are going to be talking about their projects that they are hacking on this summer. August is right around the corner, so we know a lot of people are headed out on holiday. What better time to do some hacking? So we thought we'd, show off what a couple of our Balena ambassadors are working on. Nico, I see you have an ambassador's T-shirt on. That's awesome. Yep. Alex, I like your T-shirt as well, though.
You see, I actually had the two of them. I did this thing. I was in my bedroom. And it's like, do I do the Balena ambassador one? Do I do the other one? And I kind of, backwards and forwards. But this one,
I was gonna say,
this is an ELC earlier. One. So,
and I love it. So let's do this. If you guys want to give a quick introduction. Now, Nico, I know you were on a few weeks ago when I tried to inquire how to purchase a military-grade rocket, and you would not divulge the information to me. But Alex, I'm not sure. I can't remember out of 62 episodes if you've been on. So let's do this.
You've never had me on, ever.
Well, that's our fault.
Episodes.
We tried hard, but yeah.
That's on Mark and I. Then we take the blame for that one. So
well, I'm really pleased to be here now. It's lovely to be with you here now. So
we already have a question for Alex.
What? A question?
Wow.
What about Windows CE in Docker on Balena OS? Is that a thing? Would Alex use that?
I mean, how long? We're only like seconds into this, and people are throwing hard questions at me.
Already,
that's a hard question. Does Windows CE still exist? I don't know. I haven't heard of it
from
for
like
a long
the
time.
1990s. Really? I don't think that exists. I think that died. 20 years ago.
I did a lot of work with Windows CE. A lot of work. BSPs, board ports, driver development. I'm still, in fact, a bit of a plug. Because of Windows CE and my exposure to .NET and Visual Studio, I maintain MetaMono for Yocto, so that anybody who can't find Windows CE nowadays, and you know who you are, you can go over and you can run your legacy code, your .NET code on Linux, on Mono, in Docker on Balena. So the answer is absolutely, just take your .NET code, bring it over to us and we'll tweak it, and off you go. Very easy.
There you have it. Anuj.
I loved how he put the exposer there. This is kind of like the right word to fight for this situation.
It's still running. It's still out there. I just, I think, to be a little bit more serious, not on a tangent off, but I do like what Microsoft has done. I do like the way that the emphasis was kind of on Windows CE and embedded XP and licensing that stuff and all the different models of that. And now, and it's only my opinion, I don't really know, but they appear to be kind of, look, just connect it all to the cloud, just connect it to Azure. We're very, very happy. We love Linux. We support that. We've got a little Azure Orb or whatever it is, which I think runs Yocto. Brilliant. The times of FUD are far behind us, which is very, very good news.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to go ahead and agree with that. You're totally on point there. All right, well, let's do this. Do you want to give Alex a quick introduction, a quick background, and then after that we'll have Nico introduce himself as well. Although, like I said, I know he was on recently. So, Alex, it's all yours. Who are you? What do you do?
Okay, well, I want to clear up. Firstly, before we go into any of this, that I unfortunately cannot get you military-grade rockets or weapons or anything like that. So
that's why you weren't on the show.
So it's why I've not been on before. In fact, I'm just kind of filling the space down here on the bottom left.
Well, this is what the people who manage this type of material says, right, in public.
Yeah, right. We'll talk to you after the street. Yeah.
So for my sins, I've worked in embedded systems integration my entire career, which is 96, 25 years plus. far too long. Kicked off, I mean, I'm UK based. I'm up here just outside of Liverpool in the northwest at the minute. I used to work, many years I spent living and working down in Cambridge. And I kind of cut my teeth and hopefully learned my kind of, bits and pieces about the embedded world, during that career down in Cambridge. Very lucky to work with some great people. Nowadays, I have my own consultancy business, Dynamic Devices, and we do a similar kind of thing. I mean, I kind of call it IoT now because that's what all the cool kids are doing, isn't it? The Internet of Things. So I do IoT. And, whilst back in the mists of time, I've done all sorts of things with RTOSes and bare metal and Windows CE and all these kinds of things. Nowadays, I try, I'm really positive about open source, about the movement. I really try to keep my work in that space because that's what I love doing and working with people like you guys. So that's kind of where I sit. Nowadays, a lot of that work is in and around Open Embedded in Yocto and Linux and kind of fixing the challenges that we face there, but also lots of IoT sensors. So basically, if it does a bit of sensing, maybe it does a bit of control, and it invariably does data comms in some kind of way, shape, or form, I'm probably doing something a bit like that, or I'd like to be doing that. And of course, my kind of interactions with you over at Balena, I recognized when you guys started out that one of the big problems we've always had is updating and maintaining these devices, these thousands, tens of thousands more devices in the field. It's quite hard, and we didn't have a good solution. And this idea of kind of Dockerization, virtualization of containers, remote management, loved it, absolutely. So that's very much a part of the direction that I'm going as well with what I'm doing with embedded Linux. So that's me.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you, Alex. And I know you've got some really cool stuff to show off today as well. So along those lines, Nico, you want to give a quick hello?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm Nico. I'm working for the German aerospace company, DLR. Well, especially in this part, I'm working as a ground controller for experiments on board of the Columbus module of the ISS, of the International Space Station. And when I'm not trying to fix some common IT errors in part of this ground sequence, which can range from stuck paper in a printer until some really, really complicated firewall stuff. So it's or just like weaseling through the second floor down there, which can also happen quite a lot. Then on nighttime, I'm putting this in there. This is okay. Then I'm developing experiments for sounding rockets. At least that's my passion. Not always really in my job, but I'm trying to. And I have not access to weapons grade material or anything else. So not anymore. So
there
was this one issue.
We're
I don't know.
Yeah, we're teasing you, of course. Mark, what episode was it? Maybe 57 or 58 that you can go back and check out. Yeah. Is it that far back? So 52, 53-ish. You have to check the playlist. I'll find it in a moment. But Nico showed off the work in detail that he does. And, he's talking about fixing printers. 56. Talking about fixing printers locally in the ground control. He could also be fixing printers on the ISS. Well, I don't know. Do they print? Maybe they don't print. You have to use a pencil and paper, I think, up there. So
sometimes yes, but they also have 3D printers and alloy printers now. So and even biomaterial printers. So printing sometimes of organs or stuff like that. So it's getting quite advanced now.
Yeah.
How do you 3D print without gravity? Wow. That's awesome.
It's cool. You got vicious stuff that sticks to something, so you got something. And the good thing is you can print really complex structures if you have no gravity, because hey, you can just put it there and it stays there.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
And maybe we can, but I'm also a little bit interested in this stuff. So finders keepers. I'm claiming that. So
sorry, Anuj, you're not getting any.
But we can see if we get some surplus, then maybe we can figure something out.
All right. Well. Let's do this real quick. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Alex, for the intros. I know we have a lot of ground to cover. Mark, you are are joining us from Holiday. Did you actually bring from Holiday? From Holiday, did you actually bring anything for our what's on your desk segment?
Of course. Are you telling me that you go for holidays without anything
without your
suitcase?
toys? Well, I bring my toys with me, but I thought I was the crazy one. I didn't assume everybody else did.
I will show something and let the people wonder what it is. I hope that in less than 3 seconds you can know what it is.
Hold on a minute. Let's see here. Before you do that, we have a special guest actually joining us. Chris has joined for one specific purpose, and I think I know what it might be. Chris, would you like to do the honors of giving us a new rendition of what's on your desk?
Rendition? Okay, all right, go on then.
All right, I think we're ready. Go ahead, Chris, take it away.
Where's the image?
Oh, sorry.
The image is going to play the audio. We can't.
Surely you need the image. Like I have to have the image.
Yeah. I will put the image. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
What's on your desk?
Unbelievable. Always a classic. Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
All right. Bye, Chris. Thank you.
No, wait, stay here for what's on your
What's on his desk?
I had, well.
I want to know what's on Chris' desk.
Yeah. Well, that could go the whole hour, so no, we can't. No. His desk is littered in projects. Because I knew this was our season finale, which I was going to talk about at the end anyways, but I had queued him up for a special guest appearance to come sing the jingle for us. I had forgotten about the image, though. Good call on that, Mark. I thought if we put the image up, the audio was going to play automatically.
No. Chris actually have a lot of fans.
Yeah, he sure does have a lot of fans. All right, so now we can take it away. Mark, you want to go quickly for what's
I brought
on?
some stuff, but I wanted to show something specific. Oops. Can you hear me? Or
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and you can see me, or
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you lose us? Uh-oh.
Okay.
Well,
So I'm going to show something very quick, and you have to. Can you hear me again?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep. Sure
Still?
can.
Okay.
You're there.
So I'm going to show something very quickly, and you need to tell me what it is. Okay.
All right, we'll take a guess. Hold on, I'll zoom you. I'm going to zoom you in just so we can see what it is better. Okay.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
this is what I have on my desk. Something special that I got because I have pies, etc. And this is not interesting, but I have this.
Oh, yeah.
Lily pad.
I know what that is.
No, that was a Matrix creator.
What else?
Lily pad?
Lily pads.
Okay, and Alex, what do you think?
That was my only guess. Oh, that's totally a Matrix creator. Oh, it is a lily pad. Okay, good guess. Hold on, let me zoom him one more time. Oh, missed it. It's all right. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, lily pad
Nice.
Arduino. Look at that. Neat. All right, well, that'll be fun to hack on while you're on holiday.
So you're starting sewing. Nice.
Exactly. So this is I have some electric thread. Now, how do you put it? Yeah. And I would like to test something. Never test this. I just bought it on AliExpress. I'm not sure if this is an official one or not.
How long?
We are gonna test. Actually, I have two. So on AliExpress, you always have to buy two, right?
Of course, just in
That's
case one
everything.
doesn't work. Yeah, otherwise you have to wait a month for the next one to show up. Yep. That's Alan's strategy as well. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you build with that. I'm going to skip this week. I have some parts on my desk, but they're remaining top secret because we're not ready yet. So no spoilers. So I have some stuff, but I can't show it. So
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell.
yeah, exactly. So I got some stuff, but
So that's basically
stay
the
tuned.
hang-up for the next season then?
Yes,
Something like this,
exactly.
you know?
So
Season 3, yeah.
that'll be for season
Next
3.
season on Balena.
Yeah, exactly.
Winter is coming, so
Winter is
David
coming.
needs
Summer is coming. So all
Oh
right.
my god, probably he's having a soldering iron or something like this. Something completely crazy. We're looking forward.
Actually, I did have to purchase a soldering iron.
Oh,
This is
my
gonna
God.
be
It's happening.
It should be arriving hopefully
getting
tomorrow or the next day. I'm pretty nervous. I ordered my
crazy.
first soldering iron, so yeah, David's asking for a hint. All right, the hint is it'll have motors, so it will be mobile. But that's all I'm saying. So, all right.
I'm guessing Spot Mini.
I saw that on Twitter. I think that might be a little too advanced for someone that is just purchasing their first soldering iron.
I know you're a good man. You can do this.
I
I'm
don't think
completely
so.
faithful to you.
I don't think so. All right. Let's.
There are first people wondering, like, drone.
Yeah. Well, I'll drop another hint, but later in the episode.
Okay.
But all right, let's go on because I'm looking at the clock, and these guys have a lot of nice projects that they got to show off. So, Nico, what do you have? One thing. Give us one.
I'm
it's probably a rocket.
Yeah. No. I'm trying to just like share this thing because it's sharing my camera, and it's actually one of the other projects I'm working on, which is not a rocket, but actually it came from Soviet Russia. It's a Geiger Müller tube, so it's a radiation.
We're gonna get censored for this. Oh, jeez.
No, that's completely fine. I actually got it from Mokba, so it's complete. It came from Moscow, just like to me, sent by a post. It was really interesting. Completely banned
But
up,
you receive these on the mailbox, like a regular package, or?
Yeah, sure thing. So that's no problem. They have no radiation there. It's just like for measuring radiation, so completely fine. And there's some nice guy on Tinder, which is just like buying. It's just like soldering these complete boards, and you get them, and you can count them via I2C, which is completely fine because you can just like read them via I2C. And I'm putting together a little board with some BME, some I2C sensor, an ESP8266, and one of these nice GPS modules we will see later on as well. Putting that into enclosure because we got an area here which was heavily used by the Belgian people with their nuclear artillery grenades down here. They stored them there, and I'm running all this time there, so I'm really interested in seeing if there's some radiation there. So
well, Chris has a repo for a radiation detector, so you might be able to take a look at his code to see if you can, recycle bits and pieces of it. But I don't know about a Soviet era radiation detector straight from Moscow, so I'm not sure that his code is going to work for that.
Yeah, he got the Balena Sense counter thing, which is especially for counting stuff like that. So we can use this if we want to use it with Balena Sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is incredible. It's pretty cool. A little worrying. Alex, as a professional, I think I might need you to weigh in on whether that's actually even a good idea for him to have those.
Me, surely. I've got the wrong guy there.
Yeah, his video's getting flagged.
I think he got also some nice ideas. So,
man. Yeah.
I tell you what, though. It's an awesome idea. After Fukushima, I did something similar with. Some dude had it. It was a kit. I didn't do anything clever. Just took a kit, plugged it in. It was outputting over serial. But what was cool was there's like crowdsourced radiation websites, and you pump your readings up to it, and you can sort of compare and contrast and sort of see, before the ESA shut down monitoring on the west coast of what was coming over in the sea, we could sort of see the spikes and all the radioactivity and that type of thing.
Wow.
So yeah, totally cool. Neat. Yeah, brilliant.
Right.
Love it.
Alex, do you have anything specific on your desk you'd like to show? Or
I don't know what to choose from.
I was just going to say, or otherwise, we can roll into your segment and what you want to show as for the project.
I do have something. Something which is a little bit different. Which we'll see if your viewers can sort of get this and why I have it in my desk, because I'm actually doing something with this. So What's that then?
All right, hold on a minute. Hold it up a little bit closer. A little closer.
A little bit more? Maybe a little bit more? Maybe an
little
angle?
bit more. Give me an angle view.
It's a thin client?
It's a thin client of some sort.
It's not a thin client. Okay.
Not the wire box.
I don't recognize it.
This is a video recorder, or
No.
It's a printer. It's an etiquette printer. For barcodes or something like this.
So very, very briefly, we got some. I mean, it's in a way it's quite interesting. We got some jobs going on. We got some little bits of hardware that we need to onboard and produce. And as we onboard them, we got like numbers and unique keys and things we have to assign to them. And in the best traditions, we want a label that we can stick on them. So we got a cheap little Dymo printer, and we got, the wonders of the open source community. Somebody's out there, they've written a bit of Python that will drive this thing. And we hooked up a Python driver to an MQTT broker to our provisioning workflow. So we push a button and it puts all the magic secret keys into the device, and it publishes an MQTT message, which gets picked up by the subscriber in the Python, which pumps it out over the USB into the little printer Dubry. And ka-ching, I've got a label that I can stick on the bottom of our devices, which is really cool.
Nice.
I'm really pleased with that. It's nice.
Now you need a robotic arm that takes a sticker and put it on the device, right?
Yeah, automating workflows. So that was quite fun actually earlier this week. Yeah,
Neat. That's really cool. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what else the audience has on their desk as well. We'll toss the comments toss them into chat, and we'll get them up on screen. But I think we better get going on the topic. And Alex, do you want to start us off? Because I know you've got some really cool ones that we promised the audience to show off.
Yeah. Well, I just sort of I threw a few bits and pieces in, and I thought you can sort of pick and choose, and whatever's more interesting, maybe we could talk about that. Leave the others out. But yeah, there's a couple of things. Sort of bees and environment is a big thing with me. I'm not, I'm a noob to the world of space, unlike my friend and colleague Nico here. But I'm getting going with it because it's super exciting. So doing a bit of space stuff. And we have a little project called the Kettle Companion as well that it'd be quite nice to talk about, which we're getting going with. On the bees, if that's me sharing that, isn't it? So
I just brought it. Yeah, I just brought it in.
Brilliant. We have the technology. So
yeah, we can do this.
Whiz through and just interrupt and stop me, as you wish. But we're very keen on, it's a big thing, isn't it? Now, the environment, what we're doing to it, and particularly if we're going to affect positive change, how do we know what's going on in the environment? So that goes back into sensing, and you've got this awesome stuff with Balena that you're doing with Balena Sense. And I kind of nicked a load of that stuff to put together within this project. This is all
what it's for. That's why it's there.
It's all kind of we wanted to do something replicable that anybody could take and they could kind of improve it, build upon it, and hopefully feedback with us. So we took Raspberry Pis, commercial off-the-shelf kit, and we put Balena on them, and then we plugged in bits and pieces. And if I show you that, this is my colleague Andrea, Bee for Biodiversity, who's like awesome, cool. She's around here. She does kind of training bee stuff with people. We've got about 40 hives, knows everything you want to know. So she's got a bee expert, and I just come in and I just break all the tech and sort of shove that in the wrong place and that type of thing. So we've been working together for a while now. This is one of her hives, apiaries in nearby us in Rimrose Valley, it's called. Lots of beautiful, lovely forage, wildflowers for the bees. And as you can see, this is what she does. And she kind of looks after the bees, makes honey and wax products, that kind of thing. Up in the top right corner there, you can see the my very kind of Heath Robinson style of embedded systems development, which is, cobble it together with tie wraps and anything else you can find around in the makerspace that I operate out of. So that's kind of where we began with all this stuff. And really, we didn't want to try and do anything super duper professional. We just wanted to get stuff out there and make something work. And in particular, my idea was to get something working reliably, because we can't be going in and out of the beehive all the time. And we're very cognizant of not causing the bees problems. So this is Andrea on the roof of Does Liverpool, the epic Does Liverpool, which is central Liverpool. She's had a couple of hives on there for a while, and this is installing our kit. There's a little close-up of what we've got in there, and that's a box with an IR camera on it, which is a kind of Raspberry Cam style of thing going into, I think we've got a Raspberry Pi 4 in there, and the weird stuff on top of that is a power over Ethernet shield. So what we want to do is keep the cabling real simple. So we've broken the data and power out of the Does Liverpool office and then taken this out of the roof into this box. So I'll show you that in a sec, but into the box so that we can both power it and have data with just the one wire. And what we've got on here, what's quite nice about it, on the left-hand side is my, you see I'm a software engineer, can't you? My awful attempt at connecting up I2C devices, because I got a load of little, you can get lots of little individual I2C boards for like BMEs, temperature sensor, humidity, all that cool stuff. And I had all those wired up. And it was hard just making that reliable. And then I spotted Pi Moroni's awesome Enviro Plus board, awesome, which I know we've all kind of had a look at, which integrates basically all of the stuff I was trying to do on a board. It's got like temperature, pressure, audio, gas sensing, particulates, you name it. So I thought, well, that's a much more sensible way of doing things. So that's what we did. We used that. And what I'm quite proud of is that if you think about the architecture, the way we put this together, I've actually got a powerful Raspberry Pi, which is doing audio video, because we wanted to get people in to see the secret lives of bees. And that's doing all of that over, sort of publishing the media as it's doing over the Power over Ethernet connector. But I also wanted to be able to do more lightweight sensing, and you wouldn't need all the kind of webcams and Raspberry Pis and all that crap. So what I did was I took that Enviro Plus board and I sat that on top of a Raspberry Pi Zero, and I plugged those into the USB connector of the Raspberry Pi and bridged the Ethernet. So now we've got two Balena devices connecting to the cloud with the little one going through the big one. And that worked really well. I was really pleased with that. And that meant that we could take out half a box. You don't want that. You don't need it. And you could use the Raspberry Pi Zero as just your basic kind of sensor telemetry box and begin to think about more power conservative kinds of applications. So moving on, this is my good friend from Does, who's doing all the wiring here. Absolute genius. And he's laying out the cable there across the roof. And then what we've got is people, should they be so interested, can head off to the website mybees.co.uk. Needs a little bit of maintenance, actually. We need to get out to the beehive. The bees have been putting propolis on the front of the webcams. But basically, you can have live cam streams from inside the beehive and the front of the beehive there. And when I get it working again, all the sensor telemetry is going up to a Grafana dashboard, and you can look at pressure sensing, gases, particulates. And the next step here is really to bring people in who know what they're talking about and say, hey, how does this affect the bees? What are we doing here? What is particulates relate to pollution? How does the pollution change in and around these different sites? And should we be doing something about that? So that's been a really, really, really cool ongoing project to hopefully to affect some positive change. There's the beautiful little Enviro Plus board. And very quickly, the next generation of this, I've been playing with something called the Blues Note board, which you can see there on the bottom left. And that gets me a very low power cellular NB-IoT connection, which we can connect to that sensor board. And I can put that anywhere solar powered, as long as I've got some kind of cellular connectivity. So the next step is we're going to start deploying those things around some of Andrea's 40 other hives, which are in the middle of nowhere, with no connectivity other than maybe a bit of cellular. And there's no mains power for those things. So that's bees. I'll stop there.
Cool. That's really, really, really cool project.
That's impressive.
Why are you doing this via cellular? Why not using, for example, LoRaWAN, for example?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Wow, I could waffle for a long time about that.
We can talk for a long time.
I'm super excited by most LPWA technologies, except for Sigfox. NB-IoT and LoRa I shouldn't say that. I actually, I don't know anything about
this one's
Sigfox is lovely.
Why? What
this one's
happened with
getting
Sigfox?
censored. It doesn't matter.
There's probably a lot of Sigfox people taking me to task. I don't know Sigfox. I do know about MBIoT, and I do know about LoRa.
It had an antenna. I wanted to just like plug it down, but I have forgotten the antenna, so I'm sorry. This poor Sigfox board is very sad right now.
They make good stuff.
How many bytes can you send out of that board, I wonder?
Not much.
But I see MBIoT. I mean, I've worked with some of the big telcos here in the UK. We've been waiting for MBIoT a long time. It's part of the 5G spec. It's absolutely brilliant. My view is that where you have a commercial telco and they can provide you with a quality of service and you're happy to pay them for that, and that's your use case in your business, that's a really, really interesting way to go. And we go that way. And I could dig out MBIoT boards all over the place here. Equally, LoRa, I love the sort of ground up movement for LoRa, the Things Network with LoRa. We've done lots with that. There is, people care to look, there is a Liverpool 5G test bed here where people have been deploying, it's a 60 gigahertz, anyway, some high frequency 5G equivalent, but the boxes that do that have LoRa in them, and we're all leveraging that to send LoRa data packets around and about. I have friends over in North Wales who, they want to monitor things like, the farmers' animals, the sheep in their hills, and this kind of thing. And where you've got a situation where you can put your own gateways up and you're happy to do so, or you can work with a partner who can do that for you, I think that's brilliant. I think it's super duper. But you've got to have that because we don't have the LoRa infrastructure here. So you've got to be cognizant that the use case here involves you or somebody dealing with that infrastructure. Or do you just want to punt it off over to a telco and trust them, as with MBIoT? And I think those are two different things. I think they play in the same space and they're both great. So, why not use LoRa? Mainly because I'm going to be the one who has to put a gateway somewhere and find some kind of broadband connection and power and talk to somebody about that and deal with it. And I don't want to. And we have got pretty good MBIoT coverage now in the Northwest. So that's it fits my use case.
Yeah.
Buses.
I think you got the golden one. Travis just sort of let me mail you a helium kit.
Travis is
absolutely. Let's do some mining while we're at it.
Yeah. I would also take one because we in Germany have no LoRa coverage in the Cologne region, so as well. So
really,
Travis, start boxing them up. I need one too. Get them all boxed up. He's the community manager, and he's based out of Texas here in the U.S. And he's been on the stream a couple times, but he knows a thing or two about how to get some coverage out into an area. That is for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, right. I read about people who are deploying LoRa coverage all over the place, with sort of free access plus commercial services. And great. In the future, I hope that situation will change. But I just don't want to be the one who has to be dealing with quality of service issues myself,
That's actually the same thing we got here. Actually, one of my colleagues was asking me about LoRa some days before because we had this huge this huge rainfalls here in Germany.
Yeah,
we saw that.
And I was actually standing in our IT room and having some issues, not too bad, but we were getting wet there. And then a colleague of mine was, did you know about this thing called LoRa? Because we could be deploying here some water sensor right here because we have no real Wi-Fi connectivity here and could just plug it down. And we just need to install some base station because we got no coverage at all. And they're just if we now could get some.
It's strange you mentioned that. It's strange you mentioned that.
It was really funny.
A colleague of mine with a business, DefProc Engineering, some number of years ago, he did a job, which I can talk about for our DEFRA, I think we call it, government agency, which deals with stuff like that. And he's in placed ultrasonic sensors underneath loads of bridges over rivers, which are all LoRa, and they're all monitoring river level, so that you can get some kind of preemptive figures for whether you're going to have problems with those rivers flooding, which is really cool, And again, it's a great example of IoT technology, LPWA technology, absolutely fantastic.
Very cool. The IT room is probably not a place that you want a whole bunch of water as an issue.
Not at all. And the funny
I'm
thing
thinking
is,
about
Alex,
the fact that you're putting moisture sensors in there. You know, I don't know. Maybe work on the roof and the insulation.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's correct. But if you're having the problem that you see that this is coming up, you just like want to monitor where I'm standing right now. So this Alex now monitor now thinking about this ultrasonic approach. This is so funny because we actually put a bucket where the water was flooding in, and I was cobbling together an old Arduino and an ultrasonic sensor to just like see how is the water level. Even
Fantastic.
if someone were to shut out the lights so that our webcam, which I also placed there, filming into this bucket, was blind because we got no infrared LEDs right there at the moment with this Logitech webcam. So it's just like something you just like as a hacker, just like quickly couple together with some stuff you got still rolling around here, and which is really saving your eyes.
Absolutely, yeah. What have I got? What can I use here? Absolutely fantastic. I love it.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's super cool. We had a question from David about, is this available for others to go ahead and build? Is this all open source? I mean, obviously people would have to go out and buy the hardware, or maybe they have some hardware already laying around, a Pi Zero. But as far as the software stack, can they join your fleet and start? I guess they would also need bees, but assuming they have a hive, could they deploy something similar?
That's a very interesting question, and the answer is no. And I was actually kind of hoping this could be a little bit of a two-way kind of process, because you folks are doing what we would need for this, I think, with fleets, and I would love for. I mean, firstly, they can take anything. The software is open source. The hardware is all off-the-shelf buyable from local sources. Got a big list of all the stuff we bought, where to find it. In a typical kind of hacker sense, I have not been very good with documentation, and I apologize for that. But there's nothing hidden, and it's all entirely open, and I'm quite happy to do that. Well, I will be doing that as soon as I can. This is taken, in fact, from a basis of Balena's sort of sensing containers. So that's the starting point we went from anyway. And what I'd love is for this B stuff to be fed back into what you're doing with sort of open fleets. And then people could join this, manage it in that way, and maybe what I'd love with that crowdsourced information on and environment and all this kind of thing would be awesome. So if there's a possibility, if there's an interest there, I'd love to kind of talk about what we might do with it, because I can't set up that kind of infrastructure myself, but anybody can take this stuff and put it together themselves and start doing it. Maybe very quickly to answer that question as well, the datacomms that we're using, so we're using fairly standard FFmpeg audio video streaming. You just stream that to an endpoint. I'm using something called Restreamer online, which is plugging into WordPress, which is putting the live data on the website. For the telemetry data, we're publishing that using a protocol called MQTT, just because I know that really well. That is very, very standard. Publish that up to a broker. Generally, once you publish that data up, you can just do anything you like with it. And we use something that we invented called a Ming stack, which is a bit like the old LAMP stack. Ming being Mosquito, InfluxDB, Node-RED, and Grafana. So your Mosquito is your broker for MQTT messages. InfluxDB stores those messages and persists them to go in the future. Node-RED is just an awesome, like, wiring, easy programming kind of environment where you move data between nodes. You could have a whole session on that itself. And then Grafana is a data visualization graphing package. So we use that, and we pump the telemetry data into that and then sort of see what's going on. And lots of other people do very similar stuff, probably better stuff, but you can take all of that.
So that's actually really cool. I also see we have another question that rolled in. Do you plan to do any sort of tiny ML for the bees? We've had a community member for a long time by the name of Frederick, who I think I may have connected some of you guys with, who does AI on beehives, analyzing their behaviors as they go in and out of the hive, looking for any anomalies. And I'll get their website pulled up or put into chat as well. APIC.ai. If I remember,
40 episodes ago.
yeah, that was a long time ago. We'll probably need to have him back on, and he's a fantastic community member, helping out in the forums as well when people have NVIDIA Jetson issues. So let me.
Yeah, he was using
sure.
NVIDIA Jetson.
Yeah. Now, specific to this question, it says TinyML, but is there any? Do you plan to do any analysis of the bees as they come and go, or is it mostly the environmentals that you're concerned with?
So, what an awesome question. Those two images that we're sharing now are the live video out of the beehive. Because Andrea and I haven't been along for a while, you can see that it's a bit blurry, the live video from that is where the bees are, the entrance to the hive. Surprisingly, they're really busy. On the left-hand side,
crazy. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really, so it needs a little bit of physical maintenance, but I mean, what I quite like is the fact that Raspberry Pis with Balena on and a little bit of my kind of Heath Robinson stuff, it just works. I love the reliability of this stuff. The infrared LEDs, I think, I might have burnt them out even. They've gone on the left, so it's a bit dark inside the hive at the minute, but we'll get that fixed in the next week or two. Point being, I would love to do that stuff. The whole first phase of this project was to get a technology stack that anybody could take and deploy pretty reliably, because you can't be going backwards and forwards all the time to look at this stuff.
Right.
And that's the basis of good embedded engineering anyway, in my mind. And I feel that we're kind of there. We've got something that it works. It pretty much works. And the next step was to say, right, can we take that data and work with the clever people to do data analytics? And that might be, we've talked to some people about analysis of bee audio, because there's things like a queen bee makes a very specific kind of set of noises. So you can tell, we assume you can tell whether the bees are there and how many queen bees there are. And that kind of leads to whether they're going to swarm and all sorts of interesting things. And I'm sure you can do lots of other things that I just haven't thought of. If the question is, can we do some kind of AI on this stuff? Well, yeah. I mean, it's there. That's what we want to do. We'd love to work with people. It's not my expertise. It's not always Andrea's. Come and have a look at it. And also, very importantly, we have a world in which open source is out there and people know about it. And it's brilliant and it's working. And we're now moving into a world, I think, of open data. And we don't really get that yet, do we? We don't know what Facebook having our data means to us, or whether the National Health Service, selling our data to private companies. Is that a problem? Is a good thing, a bad thing? We haven't figured it out yet. I do wonder if we're going to have like a GPL for data one day. But what we want to do is kind of get on that road. And with this kind of project, certainly from our perspective, we want all of this data to be free and accessible. All the telemetry data, don't quite know how, but certainly that you can go to the broker and feed off the real-time data. How we'd get archived history data, I'm not sure. And we've been experimenting with pushing the audio video data up to YouTube, but there's kind of limitations on how much they'll take from us. So this thing, this is a project, it's a process, there's things to figure out, but we want people to be able to take this and do clever things with it, because that's how we get innovation, an open innovation. We can also build on the shoulders of each other. So yeah, and TinyML specifically, I haven't had a chance to play with that. I really, really, really want to. It blew my mind watching the videos of people doing gesture analysis, and the hard work was done on a big engine machine. But I didn't understand the asymmetry of it, where you can actually have a tiny little microcontroller running the what you've come up with, the neural network or the model. And I think that's a huge thing for the future. And if we can do some of that, I'd be well up for that. That would be brilliant.
Yep, absolutely. You just nailed it. That is the future. All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like the call to action is for folks to contribute. Easy enough. So let's do this. I'm looking at the clock. I know that you have more projects, but I want to make sure that Nico gets a chance also.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's head over to Nico for him to give us an overview of what he's hacking on, which I think is probably radiation detection based on what I saw earlier. But but you know, if we've got a little bit of extra time at the end still, what we can do is come right back around to Alex and tackle another project. But let's give Nico, I see you've got a screen share coming in. Let's grab that. And GPS time. All right.
So basically
tell me about GPS time.
Yeah, it's just like, you got no money for a logo and you got no name, so you just we Germans are really proficient in telling things by what they do or naming things like what they are doing. So that's the same thing. It's just like time from GPS. Hooray!
So in camel case, right?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, old things die hard or something like this. Or they said, it's So basically, the idea is just like it's basically just a GPS NTP server, but done in a, let's say, more easy way using Balena, because we all love Balena. We love containers. We love probably really cool, accurate time measurements and stuff like that, which really keeps me going because, hey, you get a cheap GPS module somewhere and you can get ultra precise timing and get it to your local networks. So that's the thing which is really cool. And in the past I had such low success rates with trying to get this set up, but I found a really, really good repro on the net by this lovely chap called, I got him here and there, I think he was called Beta Tester. So that was, and I love this repo by him because it really just like worked, and I tried to, hey, maybe I can not only configure this device myself, but get it into a Balena container, then everyone can have a chance with that. And that's what basically I did. So I just like took the hardware from someone else and modified it in a little way and basically Balena-fied it in this way. And if you're coming down to Balena and to the Balena Hub section, you can basically find this project there. Under the projects area, and can check it out there for yourself. So you can fork it, get yourself a Balena Raspberry Pi. At the moment, I'm supporting the 2 version up. So Raspberry Pi 2 is completely fine. The 1 was a little bit problematic, but the 2 upwards works perfectly fine. And then you can just like use this project along with a GPS module and get it to work. So basically, if it's on a desk, it's looking like this at the moment. It's actually, this is a special GPS module from a firma in Germany a corporation in Germany called Watterott, which is basically the German Adafruit or similar SparkFun, and they're giving this really, really tiny uBlock CMMHQ, and this thing is like a beast. It's just like so small but really precise and really nice. It's just like the complete module costs like 40 euros, but you can get it from anywhere else. So basically every module which got an PPS output for the precise timing is usable. I got everything documented on the GitHub repo with a nice deploy with Balena button, so you can jump right in. And basically, everything you need to do is just like to power it up for power, as well as RxTX and the clock signal, or PPS for the second output. And then you can basically boot up your Pi and use it. And if everything goes well, then you can just like have a look and have, like me, a little bit of wrong fortune. Actually, it's telling me 54 nanoseconds plus, so it's quite accurate. But the same thing, the keen-eyed viewers will see I got a question mark there because it currently lost sync, because I got all this electronic crap now piled above it, so it lost the integration just right now. It's still very precise at the moment.
It's that Moscow detector. It's the Moscow.
Yeah, it's probably something is going on.
Better move it away.
Actually, if I'm jumping over to the camera, which is just like here, maybe it's our little Inky here down there, which is sitting right here. So maybe it's it. Our little Inky shot here.
Could be Inky shot. Could be
all this crap from this.
Look at all. Oh yeah, could be the power supply. Oh, that's all right.
but it's really nice. So basically, especially if you're considering these GPS modules where NTP clocks are so damn expensive, now we're having to get 2 new ones from the German Meinberg company because we need precise timing, obviously. And this is setting you back thousands of euros. And this thing is just like basically, it's quite cheap and it's working its way. So if you need something like this, or especially if I figured out there are some people out there in the amateur radio, they also need really precise timing, and that's really cool because you can just like package it up with some USB power bank or something like this and keep this on the way. But you should still try to synchronize via Ethernet because Wi-Fi is nice, but it's not really good if it comes to timing. If you're getting precise timing, get it rolled. GPS antenna, which is the cool thing, is actually this tiny module's got the GPS antenna on the die, which is the cool thing. But on this special module, you got the especially really nice option from this German module. You got 2 of these UFL PIC antennas down there, and the one thing is cool.
Yeah, I can see them. Yep.
You get actually get an out and an in. Whoops. Now it's cold. You basically you can feed from the antenna, which is included here on the package, if you want to use the signal as well, or you can input another signal in there. So if you get a really nice active antenna, you can put it in there as well. So which is also cool. But these modules, and the cool thing, as you can see, it's a GNSS module. So it's got also Galileo, GLONASS, Baidu. So you get not only GPS but all the other signals in there. And this is the cool thing because it's just like such a really, really tiny form factor, so that you can include it, for example, for radiation tube measurement system. So it's just like, I actually admit, I just like started working with this thing. I found it so cool and just like picked up another 2 ones, just like, I'm going to use them. So just like buy them in bulk now and everything's fine. And
they're going to be in all of his projects now.
It's just like, but it's a really nice thing. You can, I'm going the same way down with like Alex does, just like saying, hey, here's the stuff, here's the documentation, how you can check, how you can debug, and also how you can optimize it, just like letting it only output time information for the seconds times, and then also changing the baud rate, and also potential improvements. PRs welcome. How you can do, you can clean up my mess of a documentation if you want, and you can do some port it to Alpine if you really want, because that's a little bit problematic with this PPS statement for the precise timing of the PPS signal. Didn't work out that well, and maybe even include some auto adjustment of the offsets of the whole setup, which can be also done, but it's kind of like a little bit tricky. But it's just like I hacked this together in like I think 2 days, and I was so happy that it worked. It's just like I still got I think 24 different kind of versions in my Balena repo at the moment, where I just like change something, build it again, change something, build it again. Like just like, oh god, I really need to remove them.
That's how I develop. That's all right. That's how I develop as well. Trial and error, iterate.
But that's just like you can grab the whole stuff, you can work with it, be my guest, and or you can just like use it and be happy. I saw there were some questions by Travis.
Yeah. Let me get it back up. So to use the UFL jacks that are at the top left.
No, you do not need to bridge the bridges. Actually, they're really directly wired in there. These are actually for these VCC VID is to separate the I2C power. So you can use this module can also speak not only UART, but I2C and SPI, which is really cool. So normally it's using UART and I2C, and this VCC VID is just like to cut the pull up from the I2C bus if you want, because you're having something different there and other I2C. So example, Alex wanted to use it into his application, and he also got a lot of I2C devices. He would better cut this connection and just like use his normal pull-up resistors he already got. And this other one is if you can solder them together to enable SPI mode if you want to use it with SPI. But actually I'm normally using them as UART, and in the future, because all this other stuff I'm using for the tube is all I2C, I probably will just like switch it to I2C and use it with this, because then I do not use other UART devices and can easier integrate it.
Yeah.
So
I can see the traces on the PCB from the UFL connector into the U blocks. So I can see you just probably literally as easy as that is hook it up and you can see it go right in. I think you'll probably have one or two of these get built because I saw AB was already looking to make one. So, yeah. And then Travis is saying on the left, does that say 0 ohms?
I don't know. So it will be a bridge at this moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's. I'm actually have not really checked it out myself. Well, but it could also be actually a little capacitor maybe for something. I saw already on antennas that they sometimes did something like this, but it looks like a capacitor actually.
Yeah.
More like
if
a
you
capacitor.
get a chance, grab the URL that you purchased from. You said you got it from a German distributor locally, but we could get the part number off of it and drop it into chat.
It's also linked in the repo. So if
right. It's in the repo. Yeah. Just go. Yep.
So and actually, I also linked the normal. I think it's called the Ultra GPS from Adafruit, the 66 channel. This should also be working. But basically, everything working with 3.3 volts and PPS signal output, and you can hack the cheap modules as well, get the PPS signal out of there. So basically everything works, but this is a known good one. So,
awesome. Well, thanks, Nico. That's super cool. That's actually really, really useful. There's a lot of applications.
I think with this, David, we cannot be late at season 3. We have to be just on time.
We have to be on time. All right.
For the IoT Happy Hour.
Okay. Well, the good news, this is still season 2, so...
And we were going to forget about this, but we're not going to forget about what you have on your desk.
Yeah, so we don't have any excuse anymore for being late. As you know, we always start approximately 2 to 4 minutes late, our live stream. But yeah, now we have no excuse. All right, well, I'm looking at the clock, and we're at the top of the hour, so I certainly want to respect our guest's time. So let me ask this. Alex, if you have a couple of extra minutes, if there's another project you want to show, let's do one more. We'll run a few minutes over, if and only if that's okay with you. If you have a hard stop and need to run, then that's fine as well.
Perfectly fine.
I'll fit in either way. I'm really happy. What does everybody want to do? I'll fit in. I have no hard stops either way.
All right. Well, I know you have many more projects up your sleeve, but I'd say let's do this. Let's have you sneak in quickly one more that you're hacking on, that you're working on. We'll go a few minutes late. We'll make this next one quick, but let's see something else.
Okay. All right. I hope everybody's okay with that. I'll just kind of touch upon something that super excites me. And I have to say again, I'm not a space person. I'm just super excited by space. So I'm actually really keen to hear what you have to say about this, Nico. Because
we have a space expert.
We are all fans here, so no one is really a space person. We are all fans, so completely perfect.
Got a space person right there, so we're good.
Let me share up the screen again.
Yep, I'll bring it. Take your time. I will bring it in. Okay, here we go.
So, I said before, super excited about low power wide area, whatever it might be.
Yep.
Love those different technologies. It's all been cool. I like that.
Sneak attack.
You know what it is?
Oh yeah.
We know that's the ISS right there. That's
definitely
That's
an IBM 9000.
Wrong, So super excited about low power wide area. It gets us to places that we've really had problems getting to before. So then we have some commercial stuff coming up. I can't really go into the details of that, but behind all of that, the general idea is, wouldn't it be cool if we could do like LPWA in places where there's no other coverage? Oh my God. Okay. So we haven't got cellular, we haven't got this, we haven't got that. You know, we can't really put up LoRa because we've got no backhaul for LoRa. What do we do? Well, wow, space. Oh my God, what a great idea. So I've been playing with that stuff. And this is the first revision of my, again, tie-wrapped Heath Robinson prototype. And I've been trying to sort of find, again, it's all off the shelf, trying to find the right bits to do the right job, put them together. Of course, it's running Balena. So what we've got in there is the new Raspberry Pi CM4, and that's on the CM4 baseboard. I just want for the younger viewers potentially, you really want to get into this stuff because you get to buy loads of toys on the business, and it's absolutely fantastic. You know, who could complain about being able to buy in this kind of kit? So I've got my Raspberry Pi 4 system there, and what I wanted to do was then, so on the LPWA side, how do we deal with that? And I saw that Rack Wireless have got a really nice little LoRa concentrator, because we don't want to be running single channel LoRa gateways. We want to be good neighbors to everybody. So we're doing this properly, and we got a LoRa concentrator shield sitting on top of the Raspberry Pi standard bus, all very nice. And that basically turns this with an enormous amount of Mark's help, for which I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for that, sir, because I keep bothering him with things I can't do. And I got the Balena container image all set up. The TTN2 was really straightforward. I had some tweaks that we had to do for TTN3, but, you know, so that was the way to go. So this is now connected up to the TTN v3 cloud. And my little, we were talking about this just before we came on live, my little Heltec little LoRa nodes are happily sort of sending. Yeah, let me just get that a bit closer. So that's one of the more recent Heltec Cube cells that you can see online. You go to Heltec's HTCC AB02S. That's a very low power little microcontroller. You can program it with Arduino IDE. It's got a GPS on it. You know, nice little bit of kit. And that's doing the LoRa for my testing through to my the system here. So far so good. The next thing was I now on the right hand side there I have an Iridium satellite constellation transceiver. How exciting!
What?
It's a cool radio, and it's for damned expensive.
I tell you what, it's expensive, and then you get import duties into the UK with all of our, you know, crazy situation here, and it gets even more expensive. But it's a beautiful little thing.
Wait, you're referring to the device that is vertical, sitting inside of the PCI slot, correct?
I had to throw in a couple of adapters. So let me just, there's a close-up of the board. And it's a lovely little thing. This is, I forget the units, 9000 series, one of the fairly recent data transceivers from the Iridium people. And there's a company called Gateworks who've laid that down onto, I always get the terminology wrong, a PCIe type of form factor standard. And that gets me then connected with yet another adapter into the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, that is an MPCIe is what that one looks like at first glance. Yeah.
There you go. So actually the adapter here, I've got two adapters. This one is breaking it out to USB, and I was connecting it that way.
Yep.
The other one that we've got here breaks out onto the onboard standard Raspberry Pi connector, but you know, whatever.
Yep.
So it's going over, I think it's kind of a USB CDC serial type of thing. And you just like, you take it out underneath the satellites, and you've got standard AT commands set that we'll use with modems, hey, standard AT commands, and you kind of go, you know, AT send a text message or whatever, and it shoots off data up to the Iridium constellation. Magical things happen in space, and then it arrives at your server in the cloud.
That's
awesome.
Incredible.
And I looked at quite a lot of different satellite solutions to try to work out what to do, because we got some sort of constraints with the commercial thing we're trying to do. It needs to be relatively real time, etc., etc. And anyway, so I went with Iridium, and it's their short burst data SPD service, which is like $20 a month for something like 14K, and the granularity is about 10 bytes. So you can send quite a lot of 10-byte messages up from your Iridium transceiver and back, back from the cloud to your device in the middle of nowhere, an African field with no coverage at all, or North Wales with no coverage at all. And so we can think about this being a bridge between local LoRa mesh possibly, or star topology telemetry networking with no local backhaul through to space, maybe solar powered, and that's where I want to go with this. Just take out this gateway, plonk it down, see the sky, boom, you're up and running, and you're providing whatever that service might be.
Yeah, that is just absolutely incredible. I mean, that is mind blowing.
It's interesting, fun. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And the last little bit before I kind of stop there, I think you've kind of seen all the pictures.
When do you plan to use these, by the way?
That's me doing my high level professional testing on the bin outside. Coffee. You can't see me jumping up and down when I got the message through. I was really pleased that I could. It worked really well. But the other thing, as I'm learning as I go along here, about what the options are. I know Elon Musk has got his satellite service coming online. It's interesting. That seems more to be offering some broadband. I don't really understand that, but it seems to be location locked at the minute, so it's not as useful for what I need to do. The other thing I'm very, very, very keen on is that I was speaking to some people in regards of LoRa and Semtech and these types of things, and they said, well, have you heard about Swarm? And I thought, no, what's this? Haven't heard of them. Swarm is a new space outfit that are putting up these microsatellites. All the really cool kids are putting up microsatellites. My understanding is you kind of put them up and they're going to burn up in a couple of years and disappear. But that's okay, because it makes everything a hell of a lot cheaper. And you sort of put them up and then you put more up, and you keep your network going. And that sounds cool. Sounds a great way of doing things. So these Swarm people are doing that. They're putting a network infrastructure in place. And so I now have a Swarm development kit on the way to plug into this box. And we'll see if we can get LPWA technology, sensor telemetry up through the Swarm network, and have a few different options for the satellite link. So I don't quite know where all this is going. The image that's on that board right now is the one that Mark very kindly helped me get going. There's not a lot more than that at the moment, but as and when I want to kind of take like an ESP mesh stack and have this as one of a number of gateways on that mesh, and then be filtering to keep costs down and send some of those messages up through the satellite network, and then do some stuff in the cloud. And as and when, some of that will be commercial, but as and when that kind of works, I really want to try and get an image, repo for that up and running so other people can play with this. Because, I'm just learning as I go along here. I'd love to work with other people to learn more. But it's exciting me. It's really cool. It's something that I'm doing.
That is really, really cool. And you've got quite a few folks in chat. Number one, asking questions, and number two, that happen to be subject matter experts in this. So I have a strange feeling that some of these folks can help push this project forward. I want to grab a couple of the questions that have rolled in, and then if there's no other questions, we'll start wrapping up. But I'm going to scroll up real quick, and AB was asking about what's the baseboard. That I can speak to. I think the baseboard is the Raspberry Pi 4 compute module dev kit. That's the official Raspberry Pi breakout board for the CM4. Beyond that, you of course have the rack board, and then there it is, right there.
Always in arm's reach. You need it.
Always. Yeah, Nico has it. Of course, you had the rack board on top of that, and then you had the Iridium carrier plugged in over PCIe. But that's the CM4, and it's official dev kit. We saw how often can you send messages, and it looked like Pierre had replied with every 3 minutes on the standard plan. I know you had mentioned it's not a whole lot of data, 10 bytes or whatnot, but is there throttling? There are time periods between your burst up to the satellite. Does that seem correct?
The honest answer is I don't know.
Really fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm at the point of just kind of get the basics going, make it work is where I am. I definitely haven't done anything like how much data can I put through this, because I know somebody who was working in the MOD doing something quite similar, and they flicked the wrong switch and they were £1,000. Whoosh, that's disappeared now. I don't really want to be in that position.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
So I don't know the answer, but I, having reviewed some sort of basic literature on the different satellite options, I went with Iridium. One of the reasons was because of the constellation coverage. So there seem to be a lot of other alternatives which are you have less ability to send your packets because you're not covered all the time. I assume I'm going to have some issue sending between satellites as we kind of go between one and another in the constellation. And I'm assuming there will be some kind of retry. I didn't know actually that messages were throttled. I'll have a look at that. That's very interesting. So that's something for me to pick up on. Yeah.
The good thing about Iridium is that they are geostationary satellites. So basically, you're always seeing nearly half the globe or something like this. They used to be really expensive, and I'm really happy that they cut down the price that much, because you could send bytes for a lot of money if you wanted in the past. And the problem with the SpaceX thing or the Starlink is actually they're using too much power. So they're basically too expensive for what you want to do with your project, completely overpowered. And I think they're drawing they got a 120 watts power supply or something like there, because this phase shift arrays, the antenna and the router, they're using so much energy, it wouldn't be feasible for your project. And I think you really nailed it with how we want to conceptualize this thing and want to do it. So I really like this idea, because you could get their SpaceX thing there, but what does your complete solution help you if you cannot use it, or just use it for 5 minutes a day because your solar power is running out?
So 120 watts, you're not going to last long. I mean, that solution that you have on screen right there, Alex, is probably a maximum draw of 15 watts. I mean, the Pi itself is probably in the 8 to 9 watt range, and then you've got the auxiliary boards.
Yeah, and we know that the Pi itself, is great for what it's for, and it's a great prototyping platform. We would move to a commercial board designed for low power for this in the future. So the thing's just going to be sleeping most of the time. But again, this for me, a lot of what I do is low bandwidth telemetry. It's on, it's off. We've got 8 bits of analog value. We're not streaming video here. We're not doing audio here. So this kind of low bandwidth, 10 bytes at a time. If you want to know if a gate's open or shut, or your animal's around somewhere, it kind of fits quite nicely with that use case.
Or some position information if you're tracking something or something like this. So I think we had 2 years ago or something like this, there was launching a LoRa sat, this was called, from an Electron rocket. And I was actually trying to do, so there was kind of like citizen science trying to do LoRa base station, ground stations for all the people getting these HealthTech devices out there, like trying to measure something. And it kind of worked in the end, but there was a lot of stuff going on there, not really deploying solar panels and stuff like that. It was really heartbreaking. And I think they're working on another thing. So it's basically the smaller project from the Swarm we were telling about, something like this. But this was also the idea, like using LoRa from space, trying to get it down via public ground stations.
Brilliant.
And I think it's a really good idea, but as long as those things are not really working correctly and are there in a low Earth orbit so that you can use them, this is really working today already. So that's a good thing, really, for something like this.
It's all part of a process, isn't it? We're just sort of going, what can we do today that's kind of going to work? It's not too far in the future, so we're going to fail, but it'll get us where we need to be. And then in a few years, we'll reevaluate that. We'll look at it.
Yeah.
But I'm having a great deal of fun trying to figure out what to do, really.
And Alex, are you streaming the data in real time with Iridium, or you have to wait to specific moments?
Yeah, one of the criteria for this is that it has to be sort of relatively real time. And I've read, looking at this, that some of the networks are actually hours quite slow. And Iridium, I think, when I trialed it, I was pushing my AT command out, and it arrived at my server within a period of seconds. Now, I believe the spec is longer than that. I believe the spec is more like maybe 30 seconds or a minute. I can't quite remember, but it was that kind of order. Talking to the Swarm people, it's maybe slightly slower, but a similar kind of order. And that's again, because of the commercial use case we've got here, that's what we need. But that gives you a flavor anyway, doesn't it? That's kind of what we are.
That's the thing. If you're having a geostationary satellite long away, you're getting a little bit more lag, but you basically can just like receive and send it back, because that's what most satellites do. They have no real intelligence at some points. Yeah. Routing and something was kind of like introduced later on the way down. And if you're using kind of like small LEO satellites like CubeSats in 300 kilometers or 400 kilometers, they're basically just like getting over your ground station like in seconds, and then you have to transmit from one to another, trying to get this there, and then there's something breaks, and that's something which even Elon Musk not really has yet figured out. They're just like tracking their state, and then they're just constantly changing satellite and beaming data down from each satellite to each station. They cannot yet communicate in an order down there. They're still working on this. So it's kind of like really hard. It's a really hard problem, because you have to match them and how they're moving. So that's really cool, but we're not there yet. But kind of like this thing already works really well with this map behind in the situation where you are, what you can see, how this whole system works. So that's really a good thing, and I'm really looking forward to the future. As you're saying, sometimes you just like need some cornerstone technologies which just like fit the use case right now for the next 5 years until it's gone, but enable the whole process, because with this thing you can then get sensors in the field where you otherwise couldn't, and get new markets, basically.
That's it. And again, for me, as a kind of a noob to this, and I've sort of sat in on some talks about these CubeSats, pocket CubeSats thing, that like feels to me like a just groundbreaking in terms of what it's going to open up for us. For like, I sit like in the kind of embedded IoT world, and I'm just talking to these guys. Wow, the stuff I could do if you can give me that, and I can just plug that into some embedded stuff. There are problems that we can solve with that we couldn't solve before, or we could solve a lot better, more cheaply. And I love, this idea that these things are like they're so much cheaper to get mass into orbit doing it this way. Presumably, that's going to mean, loads of clever people going, right, we could do all sorts of things with this, which is real, absolutely fantastic.
As long as we get this Kepler syndrome out of the way and not colliding anything up there, we will be fine. But
all right, you guys. Well, thank you, Alex, for sharing that one. That's just absolutely mind-blowing. Very, very cool project. And, for the folks in the audience, by all means, if you have contributions, PR's welcome. Thoughts, ideas, or issues, fixes, anything. All right, we are pretty far over, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. Mark, you're going to be on holiday for a couple of weeks, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
So good. That's good. Good for you. I was on holiday last week.
Batteries.
Recharge those batteries. That's good. So what we're going to do is this. We are going to we're going to take a break for a couple of weeks. 3 weeks weeks off, if I remember correctly. Most of Europe shuts down in August anyway, so we already know we're going to lose half the audience. So everybody in Europe's going to be at the beach. So we're going to take a break for a couple of weeks. We'll come back in September. Or is it potentially the final week of August? I can't remember exactly which date we have targeted. Obviously, we will make some noise on social media. We'll schedule it in YouTube, so make sure that you have clicked the bell. Make sure you have subscribed. You'll get the notification. And we'll be back for season 3 in a few weeks. But for the time being, I certainly want to thank you, Alex, and thank you, Nico, for joining today. Amazing stuff you guys are hacking on, and hopefully some of the community lends a hand and helps out as well.
Love it.
Anything else? We had Chris sing us a new jingle. We saw amazing stuff. I think we're good.
Maybe, David, we can mention what you do every time that you turn on your computer every morning, that it's checked opening positions at Balena, because at Balena we are hiring.
Yes, I'm sorry, I did not have the tab or the sharing ready for it.
Share my screen.
Yeah, good.
If that's okay.
Good reminder. Yep, bring in yours if you have it. I was not prepared. And I actually did not check them today. I think they are the same ones that we may have spoken about in the past. Yeah, the same postings are still up there. So fleet reliability engineer, full stack engineer for internal tooling, technical sales lead / sales engineer. That's our customer success team. SREs, both EMEA or Americas. And of course, design your own role. Let us know what skills you could bring to the team. And I think
we take very seriously this position, actually.
Yeah, most of the team is coming through that channel. So absolutely. All right, you guys, anything else? Alex, anything else? Nico?
No,
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
for
us.
having me on. It's been absolute pleasure, and have a great weekend. Have a great break.
All right,
Yeah,
you heard it there.
Thank you
Everybody
very much.
have a great weekend. Have a great break, and we'll see you back soon. I'm going to close us out. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.